Hey there, I'm the Madcatster. Am I glad to see you here? Well, Morphe Cosmetics has finally filed for bankruptcy under its parent company, Forma Brands, and all of its subsidiaries. And in the process of filing the bankruptcy, they've also agreed to sell all their assets to a group of investors. But we also have learned, and I've got the receipts from the bankruptcy court, that they still owe millions of dollars to several influencers. I'm going to tell you all about it right now, so buckle up and let's go. I am here with Sybil the Enforcer, and she's purring away, and she says, please like and subscribe. We just went over 18,000 subscribers, and we're trying to head now to 19,000. The channel keeps growing, and we need your help. So Sybil says, please like and subscribe. We would really, really appreciate it. Anyways, let's talk some beauty drama, and we've known that this was coming, but everyone's aware, or most people are aware, I should say, that Morphe closed all of its US stores, its brick and mortar skincare and makeup shops, and in the process, unfortunately, put a lot of employees out of work, which is really the most tragic part of all of this. And they have now officially, through their parent company, Forma Brands, filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection. And all of the subsidiary companies that they own have also simultaneously filed for bankruptcy protection. But part of what they've done in the process of filing bankruptcy is agreed to have all of their assets acquired by a group of investors. And this is what the investors have to say about what they plan to do. So it says that Forma Brands announced that its direct parent company, FB Debt Financing Guarantor, has entered into an asset purchase agreement, and I'm not going to get into the details. We'll just call them the investors. So they've agreed to sell their assets to the investors. And it says the proposed transaction is expected to significantly strengthen Forma Brands' balance sheet and provide the company with resources to execute its long-term growth strategy. So it doesn't sound like they're planning to shut the company down, and they're looking, from what they're saying here, to put capital into the company so it can continue to grow. I'm guessing as an online entity now that the stores are closed. It says to facilitate the process, the company and all of its subsidiaries filed voluntary Chapter 11 in the U.S. Bankruptcy Court. And that during the process, Forma Brands will continue operating and serving customers and consumers in the ordinary course. So they're going to continue operating according to this. And the brands, and I'm going to show you here, this was part of the bankruptcy petition. These are the brands that they've listed that have also filed for bankruptcy. And you'll recognize a couple of names here. So they've got Forma Brands LLC, which we know. They've got Morphe LLC, which we know. They've also got Forma Beauty Brands LLC, but here's where you're going to recognize these names. Jaclyn Cosmetics Holdings LLC, Playa Products, which is that hair care company. Some of you may have heard that the creator of that company, Playa Products, a hair care company, is now upset with the way her company has been handled since she sold it to Forma Brands. And she's suing them because she's saying that they did not follow through with how they were going to grow her company. But anyways, and then the last one on this list is Jaclyn Cosmetics LLC. So there are two Jaclyn Hill Cosmetics entities under the Forma umbrella. So those are the companies that were acquired. But one of the interesting things that we learned in the documents, there's a whole list, and I'm going to put up I made like a screen video because I'm not going to go through the whole list. It's so freaking long. But you can see as this video scrolls, they owe a lot of people a lot of money. And some of the people that are down that list, and I'm going to show you here in some still photos, are names, 3 names you are going to recognize. There's a stack of documents that get filed when you file for bankruptcy, and in this case, especially with a corporate entity, it's going to be a lot more information that's included. You can see here the largest unsecured claims, and an unsecured claim is a claim that's not backed by collateral to guarantee it. So in other words, when you get your car loan, the bank or whoever holds a lien on the car, so if you fail to pay, they can take the car back. An unsecured claim is like your credit cards where there's nothing to back it up. So if you default, they can sue you to try to get the money back. But now by filing bankruptcy in Chapter 11, Forma Brands and Morphe have been able to stop. There's what's called an automatic stay that gets put in place. None of their creditors can come after them as long as they're in the bankruptcy process. And what they're going to try to do now is reorganize, try to pay a percentage of what they owe some people and get those debts discharged so that they can continue to operate and function as a company. But you can see here, the fourth and fifth people on this list, there's James Dickinson, who is James Charles, and they owe him over $2.1 million. And then the next one is Jaclyn Hill, and they owe her just over $2 million. And then there's a third name you're going to recognize. And you'll see here, number 7 on the list is Jeffree Star, and they owe him over $1.4 million. Now, realistically, what are they going to see of that money? My guess, and I've worked in bankruptcy cases, I worked in bankruptcy for a number of years, they're not going to see very much. They may see some pennies on the dollar if they're lucky, but they for sure are probably not going to recoup what they're owed. So that really sucks for them, but they've gotten way in over their heads. And I think the mistake that Morphe made, and let me know in the comments what you think, is when they started to sever their ties with these influencers who had basically made them what they were, and then decided to go into actual brick and mortar stores. I think that was a big mistake. I think they should have continued to sell their products through other retailers and then also focused mainly on their online retail sales. And it sounds like that's now what they're going back to. So they're realizing that they made a big mistake. Unfortunately, it's coming at a big cost for a lot of people. But the mistake I think they made was when they got rid of James Charles, and whatever you think of him, he still was a big draw for their bottom line. And Jeffree Star, and, they were still working with Jaclyn Hill. But when they started to get into lines of cosmetics with big names who weren't beauty influencers, I think that also was a big mistake for them and caused their business a lot of chaos. And I wouldn't be surprised now, and although I don't know who's going to want to work with them, if you saw them now try to go back and attract some beauty influencers with some lucrative deals to try to get the business back on track to where it used to be. If I were any of those people, I would want some kind of an advance on my contract, and I certainly wouldn't sell them my brand. I would want to keep the ownership of my brand. You may see Jeffree Star, Jaclyn Hill, and James Charles try to negotiate with the bankruptcy court to buy back their brands and have control back of their brands. So I know James Charles has talked a lot about the fact that he's always wanted to start his own line, but he sold the rights to James Charles to Morphe, so he couldn't use James Charles, which is a huge mistake, I think, on his part. But, cha-ching, cha-ching, you hear that dollar signs and see that contract and you go, oh, sure, why not? Because they promise you, from now to the end of time, you're going to make millions of dollars with us. But I know now he's regretting it. So this may be an opportunity, because what happens with the bankruptcy is that bankruptcy trustee will go through all of the assets and all of the liabilities and everything and see where there's money to be made. And, it may end up that they sell off some of these brands that are under the Morphe and Forma name because they need to raise some cash to try to pay as much as they can to creditors who are still owed all of this money. We'll find out, unless the investors are planning to pump enough money in to satisfy all of these debts, which I seriously doubt. So you may see some wheeling and dealing as the bankruptcy, because it'll take several years. As the bankruptcy progresses, you may see some of these influencers try to get their brands back by paying something to the bankruptcy estate, they call it, in the bankruptcy court, and thereby have the court grant them back the right and control of their own brand. We'll have to wait and see. Let me know what you guys think down below. But this is big news, and I thought for sure they were just going to wither and die, but it sounds like there may be a legitimate effort to save the company. We'll have to watch what happens with the bankruptcy. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. I would really like to hear from you. But I also want to thank a couple of people who've sent stuff in from the Amazon wish list. So from Leafy Beans Coffee, thank you so much. I want to thank you. You sent a case of the Friskies Pate cat food and also some of the lightweight cat litter. Thank you so much. You guys are all so generous. We really appreciate the stuff that you guys send for the cats. And then I also wanted to say a thank you to Monica, aka Boss Lady, who sent us some catnip mice, and the cats absolutely love those. They go through so many of them because they're just crazy about them. Even the old cats, and most of my cats are older, love the catnip mice. So thank you guys so much. You guys, you do not know how appreciative I am for you guys. And thank you to all of our Patreon patrons. I've started uploading shorts, and I'm putting the shorts first onto the Patreon patrons page for the patrons to view first. I also have some exclusive content that I've uploaded. I did an hour-long live stream with Rich Lux yesterday talking about Morphe and some other stuff, and that is going to be exclusively available on the Patreon patrons page. So there's some content there, and you should get, if you're a patron, you should get a notice. But thank you to the patrons. Thank you to the channel members. You guys are awesome. You guys help with the defer the expense every month with my cats, whom I love, as you know, so much. And I really appreciate it. We couldn't do it without you. So thank you to everyone who is supporting us. Thank you to everyone who's watching. Please like and subscribe. I know there are like half of you who aren't subscribed. Please subscribe. Help us keep growing. I hope you guys are having a great January. Rich and I are going to Las Vegas in a couple of weeks, so look for some content from there. You guys take care of yourselves, and I will see you in the next one.
Pretty please. Subscribe, like, and hit the bell. I get a treat for every new sub. Thank you.